Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Olsen. I write movies for the Los Angeles Times. Thank you for joining us here at the Chase Sapphire Lounge, part of the LA Times at the Sundance Film Festival. We're here today to talk about the film Oh Hi! And we have some of the creative team and the cast here with us today. Writer and director Sophie Brooks. Cast member producer Molly Gordon. Cast member Logan Lerman. Geraldine Viswanathan. And John Reynolds.
Hello, everybody.
Now, Sophie, I'll start with a question for you, which is simply, I don't want to botch this part, so would you mind just describing the film? And in fact, I know it's been a little tricky in just how to describe and talk about the movie, so maybe you can describe it for folks.
Yes. Well, yeah, we were keeping a couple things under wraps before the premiere, but we had that yesterday, so I'll be bold and just say what the premise of the film is now. It's about a couple, Isaac and Iris, played by Logan and Molly, who take their first romantic trip away together. And you think everything's going swimmingly and great, and by the end of the first night, you realize they do not have the same intentions for the relationship. And Isaac breaks up with Iris. So Iris decides to hold him captive to see if she can convince him that they should be together.
And Molly, I know you have a story credit on this. This sort of stems from conversations that you and Sophie have. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of origins of this idea?
Yeah, Sophie and I have been friends for 10 years, and Sophie went through a very heartbreaking breakup, and then a couple years later, I went through a very heartbreaking breakup, and she was like my guru and helped me through it. And so we've always bonded over how do we keep the faith in this modern dating world where we feel kind of helpless. And yeah, I think we both also, with these men who we give love to, we both wanted to have a conversation that they didn't want to have. So Soph brought me this idea, woman holds guy hostage, and I was like, I have to do this, and this, and I have this idea, and this, like it felt like exactly the kind of thing that I wanted to be a part of. And I also just am so fascinated by miscommunications. I love the show Couples Therapy, and the therapist always says, like, it's that you guys are not listening to each other. Like, did you actually just hear what he said or she said? Like, because I don't think it would upset you in that way if you really heard them. And this movie kind of just feels like one big miscommunication that ends up being, insane. But yeah, I just was excited to explore that.
And Sophie, what was it like for you writing the script with Molly in mind? And did you have other actors in mind as well?
Well, it was so exciting. I'd never written with an actor in mind before, and it was so exciting to just lean into all of Molly's talents. She's so incredibly funny, but she's also an incredible singer and so grounded. And I because I am her friend, I knew all of these sides to her that I thought hadn't necessarily been shown in all of her work at that time, at least. And it was so exciting to not only write in her voice, but also lean into her talents. And then John, I had also written the role of Kenny.
Hello.
For John. I had been a fan of his, and he was just in my head when I was writing the role. And then it didn't really dawn on me he would actually do it. I just kind of wrote it for him, being like, this is kind of what I was thinking. And then he did, which was so cool and exciting. So those were, yeah. And then, who are you guys again? We haven't met.
I'm Geraldine.
Oh, and
I'm Logan.
Logan, okay, and they're lovely too.
Well, John, can you talk about that? Like, do you often get scripts sent to you with you in mind, or what?
Mostly. No, I think I hadn't really been told it was written for me either. I was just sort of sent the script, and they're like, yeah, Sophie'd like to meet with you. Would you read this? And then I read it, and obviously there's only 2 parts there's also David Cross's part. But I read it, and I was like, well, I'd like to play this role. And then Sophie's like, yeah, I wrote that for you. So it was the easiest process. And I'd like to keep that rolling. So if any of you want to write something for me, talk to Geraldine, who is my agent.
And Logan, for you, what did this read like on the page? I mean, you spend a large portion of the film handcuffed to a bed, and I'm wondering what did you think as you were reading that?
Oh, I just thought it was a great script, and and a great role in particular. Like I just thought the character was something I wanted to explore, and oftentimes I'm a part of projects and reading scripts that I'm like, this is really good, but who wants to see this? I still want to make it. But this was one where I read it and I was like, I want to see this and I want to be a part of this, which was exciting. But no, none of it felt daunting to me. I was just like excited to, try something new, do, something different, a different tone, the whole, I don't think I thought about the fact that I was just going to be pretty much chained to a bed naked for like 70% of filming. And to be honest, it didn't bother me at all. I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel uncomfortable. There was no panicking. I was just like, this is great. But I just like jump into bed every day. I didn't
would
have
feed
any.
you,
You'd feed me, yeah. You'd give me water through, like someone's like, give me like a water bottle, like waterfall. It was great. Really easy. No wardrobe changes. It's just nice. Yeah, it was a great experience.
I had a set of keys. I felt I could be the hero. If someone forgot Logan, I was like, I got it. Let me uncover.
People did forget me
Yeah, you
sometimes
were
because it was
forgotten
like it just
sometimes.
became so
Be like
normal.
lunch, and then
Yeah,
you'd
and I'd be like, hello, can't get
can
out of
someone
here.
release me?
But it was great. It was fun.
And Geraldine, how did you come to be involved in the project? One of the things I like so much about your character in the film is it's like she's kind of like the voice of reason, almost like an audience surrogate, until she introduces witchcraft into the story.
Yeah, I think, Molly and I have been friends for years. We met on the Broken Hearts Gallery. So she was like, do you want to come play my friend this time? And I was like, only for you, girl. Absolutely. And like, I just thought the script was brilliant. And yeah, I think, we do some witchy shit sometimes. So it was fun to get to share that on screen.
And Sophie, can you talk about a little the way that the story, it does have this sort of misery aspect. It's like it never goes full misery, and it's a tough tone it seems to pull off, that there's this edge of danger to it that it's always kind of flirting with. And how did you kind of like find that middle ground?
Well, I feel like that's the nature of early dating. There's a threat of danger, emotional danger, and this power play, which is kind of, inherent in the film. And with the tone, I always kind of knew where I wanted it to land, but I also think that you want to get into the edit and have, lighting
That's
change.
danger.
Geraldine,
And that's our time. Thanks, guys.
keep it together. You always want to have the ability to change your mind in the edit. So we definitely did different versions of, broader moments and scenes and more grounded so that we could get into the edit and kind of fine-tune the tone. But I don't know, it was always, the misery aspect was from the inception of the idea, and then when you hire these people, it's going to be funny, so...
And Molly, can you talk a little bit about the tone and like how you sort of like struck that right note?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was hard to, I think we keep talking about what if I was 5% crazier? Like, would I do this? I think, in a manic moment in my life, would I force someone to have a conversation with me? No. But like, I could imagine, I've been in states where I'm drunk, I'm fucking tired, and I'm shocked. I mean, what he did to me is fucking insane. Like, you can't take a woman on a trip and feed them and cook them scallops and fuck them in that way and date them for 4 months and talk to your mother about me. Like, I'm getting riled up. Like I can get into that mentality, but I think it was a fine line where I still wanted you to be with her and understand that she's a good person. She's just she's not in a good place. She's really not in a good place. And what Soph was saying, I think the true thesis of the film is that you can't force someone to be with you and that you shouldn't want that. So it's like I'm playing someone who believes you should do that. So that she's not in a good place at all. But Sophie would totally be like, you're sobbing and you're screaming. That's too much. Yeah, or you're laughing maniacally and you look like you're gonna stab him. Really? So, rein that in. But I also think that was the fun. I've never been given a role like this where I've been able to stretch in this way. And, Kathy Bates in Misery was obviously such a inspiration for me. And she does find a way to have likable moments in that movie, even though she's playing an insane person.
Because Logan, your character in some ways sets off the circumstances of the movie because he does something that I feel like most men learn fairly early to not call a woman crazy. And he does, and that sort of unleashes what happens. How did you kind of see your character's perspective?
Well, for me, this was kind of a cathartic experience. I was Iris a few times in my dating life in the past, and I always tried to understand that person and what they were going through, and come up with some sort of psychological understanding of why it ended this way or that kind of thing. So it was kind of fun to just explore that within the framework of Isaac's journey here. It was interesting for me.
But I think also Logan brought so much heart to a role that could maybe read more assholey, and brought so much humanity to that. Probably because he is an Iris, he has both sides.
Yeah, and in those experiences, I was very, empathetic towards the person and trying to understand why this was not what it seemed, exactly what Iris was going through in the story. So yeah, it was interesting to explore it. I had empathy for Isaac too. He, I think he's dealing with his own issues in this. You should watch the movie, but he's dealing with his own shit throughout it, and it's just relationships often are timing and understanding, working on yourself to get to a place where you're a good partner, and I think that's something that both of them are going through in this story, and I never saw him as just being an asshole or this one note, character. He had more layers to me.
And Geraldine, John, it's so great how, for as much as the story is kind of a two-hander, you both enter the story and then it suddenly becomes a four-hander, it sort of opens things up. And what was that like for the two of you, sort of stepping into that dynamic?
I think it was nice because our relationship is sort of the inverse of theirs, and I think I just kept telling myself over and over that Kenny loved everyone and was positive. So I just tried to have a really good time on set. And sometimes in between takes when Logan's chained to the bed, he would be like, I'm chained to a bed, I'm chained to a bed, to try to get himself back into character. So I started doing it, and I started going, I love Max, I love Max, I love Max, and walking around set. But,
we went method with it, yeah.
We went method.
And how about you, Geraldine?
What was the question again?
Well, just what was it like for you, for the two of you sort of stepping into their dynamic, how it opens up from being out the two of them to about the four of them?
Yeah, I think it really mirrored real life. We came in halfway through shooting and we were like, hey, what's up, guys? What did we miss? And we were just kind of, just joking around,
Well,
eating snacks.
you guys had sort of filmed a lot of the intense
Yes.
bedroom stuff, and it felt like the crew and everyone had been trapped in a room for a couple weeks. And then we got there and we're like, damn, Crafty is lit. Whoa.
And then you ate everything.
Well, I didn't eat everything. Okay, can I have a word with you, Molly? If there was any sort of tension on set, I had no idea because I was just bopping around trying to have fun, and you were intense. I'm just kidding.
We shot in chronological order, which is really, for the most part, which was really nice. So when John and Geraldine arrived, it was like the point we needed them to arrive. You know what I mean? Like we had done all of these really heavy, intense scenes, and then they were like a breath of fresh air and comedy, which was really fun to be outside of the room.
And now, before things take a turn, like the date is going well, and it is quite fun and romantic and sexy. What was it like shooting some of those more intimate scenes with the two of them, knowing that it was going to have to take this turn?
Well, we had an amazing intimacy coordinator, Shelby, and we did rehearsals in prep to make sure that we were all comfortable and on the same page. And it's a really incredible position to have someone like that to guide you. I'd never directed a sex scene before, so I felt really comforted having her there as well. But I think, we had those, and then we had also emotionally really intimate scenes, and some of those we used 2 cameras for, so they were able to kind of be a little freer, which was, I mean, you guys can speak to what your experience was with that, but it was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that was really important to Soph and I was that the first part of the movie feels really sexy and romantic and wish fulfillment of like a weekend that you would want to have. And yeah, I had never done like intimate scenes in that way. Logan has, but he was a wonderful partner. And by the end of it, if we were all just too comfortable with each other, because like he's chained to the bed when naked, like it was just but yeah, it was fun. And I think Sophie and I wanted like Iris and Isaac to feel like they really were into each other and it was going really well, and they just like it's not like nothing was bad before this miscommunication happens, and that's what happens in a relationship, right? It was like a fight can come out of a beautiful moment you just had. But yeah, and then when we were shooting the emotional scenes, especially when we had 2 cameras, it felt like Logan and I were doing like an improv or a play or something, and we got to just like keep going and find weird shit.
And what was the experience of that like for you, Logan?
Oh, it was great. I mean, we were really well prepared, and I mean, dedicated to every day, every scene, and trying to find moments and be present in those scenes. I feel like oftentimes we would lean into the silliness of it. And I think you'd have to rein us back to like keeping it, truthful and honest to them, having a connection and being intimate. But
Yeah,
honestly, we laughed a lot.
We laughed. There's
was
like
really
a
fun.
great like
It's probably
30-minute
3 hours.
long, or maybe
Yeah, I
or
don't
3
even
hours
know.
long improv of us having sex, just like making each other laugh.
Yeah.
That I was like, Sophie, can we put this line in this? And she's like, it ultimately doesn't
Yeah.
work at all for the film.
Yeah.
We were talking about hula dancing. We were like
Oh,
doing
so
weird
much
role
stuff.
play stuff.
So
but-
much funny stuff that was great, and I loved that because sometimes intimate scenes in movies can take themselves so seriously, and sometimes sex can be really funny, and I enjoyed that element of like the awkwardness of like
finding the position.
yeah, finding the positions and like making it a little less sexy at times and a little more I don't know, truthful to what that might be like when you're exploring handcuffs and things like that.
And an early relationship, it's like they're
Yeah.
4 months in, so they're both still being a little performative in the bedroom and out of the bedroom, and I think it was fun to play into that.
Yeah, but the baseline is like, you have to feel comfortable and trust your scene partner and feel like you're on the same page. And, it was just really nice doing it with Molly and with with Sophie and the crew. It just felt like a safe place for us to explore. And we were both. Hey. Yeah, and that is the foundation to build on, because it's important.
And there are also a couple of really fantastic uses of the song Islands in the Stream. Molly, you sing the song at what point? And it's one of those things where obviously it's really like in the movie, so you had to know that was going to be the song. Can you talk a little bit about just choosing that song in particular, and then was it difficult to get the rights and be sure that you could like really use it in the movie?
Yes. We we originally played around with the idea of another song, and then Molly and I both love Dolly Parton deeply. And we were kind of torn between a couple different Dolly Parton songs. But what's so great about Islands in the Stream is it's a duet, and it felt so fun to have our two characters, singing that song. And also the context of the song plays really well into what the film is about. So that was something that we needed from the beginning, and got that kind of squared away. That was the only song that we knew we needed to get cleared. I made a playlist in my writing process and had so many ideas for songs, a lot of which actually are in the film, which is really exciting. But that was the only one we were like, this is the one we need. And my friend Blake Mills, who's an incredible musician and songwriter and producer, did a cover for us of the song that Molly sings that was really special and kind of him. So
But
I'm excited
truly,
for people to hear that.
I mean, we finished shooting in September.
September
And
13th.
then I flew to LA for 2 days before we shot. Blake and I made that cover in an hour. Like it's been a
He's
mad
remarkable,
dash,
yeah.
and it was so fun. He did all the music for Daisy Jones and the Six. Like, he's so brilliant. But everything in this film has been like, we're going. Okay, and then when we were shooting it was like, oh my God, we made this in an hour, and you're so talented that it sounds like someone spent 2 years on it. But it was such a gift that Sophie gave me getting to work with him. And yeah, getting to sing, I'm a theater kid, so getting to sing in a film that has nothing to do with singing was fun. And I'll probably ask in every film to sing, and they'll be like, no.
This cover is amazing, though. Seriously, and your voice is incredible. And I'm such a big Blake Mills fan too, so like that was really cool. As an outsider, because it's hard for you to probably talk about how great your voice is, but it's an amazing cover. Excited for you guys to hear it.
I know, Geraldine, I think the way that audiences have gotten to know you, people are still sometimes surprised when you have a role that you're in your natural accent. And is that like a conversation that you have with filmmakers as far as like how you're going to be speaking in a movie?
Yes, no one lets me do it. Everyone's like, we can't understand what you're saying. Yeah, like for Miracle Workers, we had a Mad Max season. And I was like, surely this time. And they're like, still no, we don't know what you're saying. But yeah, that was one of our like early conversations. I was like, can I be Australian, please? And then they were like, oh, actually that adds like a great, you're here on a visa, you might get deported. Like, it kind of added this extra layer of stakes for the situation. We did struggle with the phrase law and order. That sounds weird when I say it. We had to ADR that one. But yeah, happy to reveal my Australian accent.
But she has, like, her American accent is insane. Like, it's
truly
better
remarkable,
than
yeah.
all of ours. Yeah.
But does it change your performance at all in that you can kind of like relax into a role because you're not like worried about your vowel sounds?
I actually think it's weird. I actually prefer performing in an American accent, I think. Yeah, Australians talk wrong. No, I think it makes it easier to feel like you're playing a character, I think, when you change your voice and yeah. So I don't know. Yeah.
And now, John, between this role and also your role in Search Party, you seem to have really kind of cornered the market on hapless boyfriends. And I'm wondering how you...
Thank you.
Well,
I'll be speaking to you after the panel as well.
well, tell me how you feel about that.
Yeah, I felt like this was actually a big departure for me because on Search Party I spent 5 seasons where a lot of the humor comes from watching me squirm or the anxiety that I have in the situation. And then in this film, it was sort of the opposite where I was going with the flow and I was like, yeah, let's do it all. Minus murder, of course, which was your idea? Your idea? Yeah. So, yeah, it was actually sort of a nice release because 5 seasons of Search Party being anxious the whole time aged me quite a bit. If you go back to 2015, I look so good. And here we are today. I could look like your father.
And now, Sophie, another thing with the film is that your brother, David Brooks, is one of the producers on the movie, and that just sounds like a whole other level of relationship. And like, what is it like working with your brother as your producer?
Well, sorry. I had the flu at Christmas, and my cough is lingering. It was amazing. I mean, my brother has been on the project as long as Molly and I have. I sent the script to Molly, and then I sent it to my brother, and he produced my first feature. So it's really, I think, incredible to have a producer who you trust so deeply and know has your. I mean, I had amazing producers, but only one of them I am related to and grew up with. And having his support and him know me so well, I think is really lucky. Cause and also same with Molly being one of the producers in the film, having someone know you so well and be like, but is this, you're in this stressful moment. Is this really the thing you want to do, or is this? It's just a nice way to help you find your own voice and your own direction, which I think is really valuable. And he's an incredible producer. He was, there every step of the way in prep and on set and in post. And I have made 2 films with him and 0 without. So, yeah, I feel very lucky.
And then we have a few minutes for some questions from the audience. If you just want to raise your hand, we have a microphone here for you. Don't be shy. Nobody? Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Hey, congrats. I haven't got to see it yet, but I'm excited to. I was just wondering, what's a part of the movie that you all love and resonates the most with you that you're maybe surprised that audiences are either, now that it has premiered, reacting to or not? And or like a moment in the movie that is surprising you that the audience are now starting to resonate with, aside from what you expected going in?
I'll start while you guys think. There's 2 moments I really loved watching because we premiered yesterday in Eccles, a big old theater, so it was really nice to watch the movie with an audience, and it reminds you that comedies do need an audience, and that felt really cool to communally watch the movie. But there's a moment in the beginning where their characters are at a strawberry stand, and I can just say what the moment is.
No, don't
No,
say
don't-
it.
Oh, I'm not
Don't
gonna say
say
it,
it.
but
Just say something happens.
something happens in that scene, and it was a huge laugh, and it sort of released the tension in the room, and then everybody relaxed and could just sort of settle in and have fun. And then there's a moment at the end with these 2 where they have an understanding, and I just think it's a really beautiful scene and makes the movie special.
Sophie, was there anything that yesterday at the premiere that you were surprised by how the audience reacted?
I've seen the film so many times at this point, and we also finished the film 13 days ago now. So it was like surreal to watch it.
Yeah, Sophie and I were both not there. We were
I
at the
was like, I
screening,
was
but
physically there, but
we weren't mentally there.
My mind had kind of left the room. So I think it honestly was just like, anytime anyone laughed, I was like, oh, okay. We're good? Everyone likes it? Okay, everyone's in it? Yeah, the whole thing felt really special to me. I don't know that there was anything. There's a scene in the 3rd act with Molly and Logan that's very special to me. That has the Blake Mills cover, and I felt like a really beautiful energy in the room for that. And it's actually not a comedic scene. There were no laughs, but I just felt that everyone kind of reacted in a way that I was excited by.
And we have a question towards the back there. Okay.
Where did these 4 characters go in the sequel?
That's my
It's
dad.
married to who?
That's my father. We don't.
Well, I had an idea last night.
You did have an idea last night. Do you want to share what the idea was?
The idea is that Logan then falls in love with someone and has an experience where he has to try to get them to be with him. And that's the sequel coming to
So-
theaters soon. But I don't know. What do you think? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I mean, that sounds cool to me. This is really interesting. It's so similar to my life that I'm just reversing roles in each one. Yeah, that would be really that'd be more on point for my
Your
troop.
essence.
No, it sounds great. Let's do it. That'd be fun to go back and make another movie again.
Oh, right there.
Obviously, there are many steps involved in making a movie, starting from like the ideation to fundraising to getting the actors on board and then really shooting it, putting on music, cutting it, right? You all play different roles as like the producer, actors, main and like supporting actors. So which part of that whole making process for you was the one that you struggled with most? Because obviously a lot of it is like fun and you had enjoyable times, but I'm sure there was also some things that were just really hard. So which one was it for each one of you respectively?
Let's get into a fight.
I mean, honestly, I think it took over 4.5 years to get the film made, and that was the hardest part for me. Was we had financing a few times, it fell apart. Indie film is really fickle, and it was very challenging to keep going and keep the hope alive. And I feel like I didn't really believe it until I was on set. And then, even though it's challenging to make a film, and we certainly had a tight schedule and hard days, but it was really fulfilling and joyful, and we laughed a lot. So yeah, the hardest part was getting there and just getting a lot of no's in the process of trying to get financing.
Does any of you want to add anything to that?
As a supporting actor in the film, the hardest part for me was that the bakery in town only made bagels on Friday and Saturday.
Actually, yeah, that's true.
right.
That's true.
It should be illegal.
And honestly, some of the best bagels I've ever had.
No, but honestly, I was just going to say a lot of the financiers that have dropped out of our movie were at our screening yesterday. And that was really fun. Like 10 of them that dropped our ass. We were almost going to make it like every year. And so to have the screening and have them all there was really funny. And it felt like having all of our exes there.
I mean, I guess as an actor, it was like interesting to try to keep something fresh where you can't really move. And I think even just, our relationship of like blocking, and I mean, all of us like every day trying to find blocking that kept the movie fresh. I mean, and Connor, our DP as well, like trying to figure out that thing between I'm stuck at one point and we have one room, and trying to keep it alive and fresh and not repeating the same setup over and over again. And that space was interesting, and exploring these scenes and not being able to really move at all was an interesting, challenge.
Geraldine, did you have any challenges for you?
Oh, it was so easy. Gotta be real. No. It was like a little chilly one night.
And now, Sophie, I'm going to kind of ball hog the last question for myself. I've heard you talk in some other interviews about the influence of Nora Efron and how much she means to you as a filmmaker. And could you just talk a little bit about that? Like, is there a way in which you can like recognize like moments in a movie that maybe you've drawn from her work, or like what does she mean to you as a filmmaker?
I mean, I think her kind of ethos of everything is copy really sits well with me. I definitely pull from my life, and I think I do my best writing from a place of personal truths. And she did that so beautifully. And she also, it seemed, I didn't know her, but it seemed really cared about her audience and wanted to make things for a wide audience. And I feel that way as well. I feel like the most personal is the most universal. And if I can make films that feel really true to me and also lots of people love, and I really care deeply about the audience and wanting them to feel entertained. So I'm very inspired by how she did that. She also, adapted things and made them her own. And I think she always managed to find herself in every piece of work. And it was always a Nora Ephron film. Even if she was, the writer and didn't direct it, she was just so identifiable. And I think her humor and humanity are very inspiring to me.
Because Molly, you actually worked with Nora?
So Nora was very close to my family, and my first on-screen role is a trick-or-treater in Bewitched, where Will Ferrell was there, and I was like freaking out. And that was like my only professional thing because I'm not a child actor. But yeah, she was a huge mentor to my mother. Delia, her sister, is is an aunt to me. Like getting to have a relationship with Nora, was life-changing, and I think about her all the time. When I'm ordering, I always order something for the table because she would, pancakes for the table. And yeah, the last time that we had lunch before she passed away, I was dating, I had a high school boyfriend, and she asked me, she said, "Is he funny?" And I said, "Yes," and she said, "Thank God."
Well, that's a wonderful place for us to wrap this up. If everyone could just do us a favor and just stay in your seats while our guests here make their way out of the room. Thanks so much.
Thank
Please everyone
you.
join me in thanking the team from Oh Hi.